Hello, it seems that we are live. Welcome to the stream, everybody. This is going to be the first debate going against random people who have kindly messaged me today. And over the last couple of days, I've spent the last 48 hours pretty much screening people who may be good candidates to debate. And the purpose of this today, this is the first time that I'm doing this, is to give you, the people, an opportunity to disagree and speak your opinion on why you've seen my content and you don't necessarily see eye to eye with it. The purpose of this is to give people a platform to finally voice their opinion. I think it's a very important thing that everybody gets a chance to talk. And I've seen other channels, I'm not going to name any names, but they've done a similar show to this where it's the channel versus the haters, and the entire thing is other people basically blowing smoke, reinforcing the same ideas that they already preach on their channel, and then they remove anyone who disagrees with them. But this is not the purpose of that. As I say, for the last 48 hours, I've been screening people and obviously removing any people that I deem to be trolls or not high quality guests, but I've kept all of the high quality ones and the people that contest with me the most. So anyone that's, differs with me ever so slightly, I've not given them, or I have still given them an opportunity to come on, but they're lower down the waiting list. So the people that I'm going to be getting to first are the ones that differ with me the most. I'm just going to check if everyone can hear me, because I don't want to be talking for the next 10 minutes and people can't actually check if I'm talking. But it seems that the stream is all going well at the moment. So if that's the case, then I think I've explained how this is going to work, and I'm going to allow the first person to join the debate room now. So I believe it is... who did I have down as first? Let me bring up the notes page. Jimmaxxing, can you please join the debate room? I'm going to give you permission. Alright, Jimmaxxing, please join the debate room now. Click on the debate room channel and you should be able to come in there. If not, then I'll pick the person who's second in the queue, which is Alex Date Psych. Oh, Jimmaxxing is here. You're on mute at the moment though, so can you please turn on your mic?
Hello, can you hear me?
Hello? Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear. Okay, thank you for coming on. Nice and smooth. So without further ado, what are the main points that you disagree with on my channel, and I'll address them straight away.
Okay, great. So I have prepared something that I can show right now. It's in Waffles style, so subscribers are going to love it, I guess. Similar to your layout. Can you see the screen?
Yes, I can see the screen. So you've put some data on. And what does this say?
Yes. So this data is from your 1000 faith analysis video.
Yes.
I've copied the Gaussian curves and transformed it into a bar plot that shows the distribution of different, look ratings. So as we can see from this plot, the majority of people are in the 4 to 5 range. Some are at 3, some at 6, and the minority are at 2, 7, or 8. Now, the belief that I want to challenge is something that I guess you have never said directly, but it appears as if this is what you preach, that not everybody can be in the top 20%. And the argument that I'm going to make is that most people can. So at the bottom of the screen, you can see that only a 2.3 jump is necessary, so that 86% of people can be in the top 20%. This is because the top 20% equals to a rating of 6.3 if you break it down by your 1,000 phase analysis. And 99% of people could be in the top 20% if they could manage to achieve a 3.3 jump. Now,
wait, so where have you got this figure from that everybody can jump 3.3 points?
This is what I want to debate.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah.
If everybody can do if people could do a 2.3 jump, they could realistically go from 4 to 6.3 and thus achieve the top 20%. And if the 4s can do it, so can the 5s, so can the 6s, obviously. So if a 3.3 jump is possible, then it would be possible to go from 3 to 6.3, which is again top 20%. You get it?
Yeah. So, but how would you be able to determine whether it is possible for a 4 out of 10 guy to go from 4 to 6.3? How would you determine if that jump is possible? Like, I understand what your point is. Like, you know, based on the data that I've collected, I am saying that in order to reach the top 20%, sorry, you need to reach a 6.3 or above.
No.
But at one point I do just want to point out is that you know, 6.3, like, that is only face rating. You know, so that a lot of people might fall into the 6.3 category or above. However, you know, how many of them are also like 5'8" or below? How many of them are also you know, don't have a good frame, or, you know, scrawny or something like this? You know, there's a lot of other factors that can also lower your SMV besides you know, just your face.
We're just going by look, and when it comes to height, this argument is invalid because the height is also distributed normally. So, and the height distribution is independent of the face. So the ratings of the height are approximately equally distributed as the face is, and because they are independent, the average distribution of looks, face, and height combined will have the same shape. So, like, not so for example, you can have a chat who is not tall. You can have a normie who is tall, and those things balance each other out. So the height does not impact the shape of the distribution. It's just another factor, but it does not change the overall picture.
Okay, yeah, so okay. I'm fair enough. I take that point on board. But the thing that I was going to ask is, you know, it was my original question, is how are you measuring the plausibility of getting this 2.3 jump or this 3.3 jump?
That's where we are getting here. So one of the points you make is, I mean, you haven't said it directly in such a way, but typically you show transformations that achieve a boost by maximum 2 points. So looksmaxxing can get you up to a normie if you are an adjustable free, like not a true free, an adjustable free. But you never really show the collective procedure, which is what I recommend on men's maxing, which contains multiple components. So you lose weight, you optimize your haircut, you take high-level pictures. I mean, you are number one proponent of online. Well, you're not the proponent of online dating, but you show the importance of online dating in the day that we live currently in. And it only makes sense to optimize your pictures. So if you really use all the advantages that you can possibly use, you can achieve a much larger boost than just by 1 or 2 points. Now, the audience can judge for themselves how much they how much my transformation impresses them, and if it is only 1 point, 2 points, 3 points, 4 points, 5 points, I guess it is obvious from my personal transformation that many people, not all, but definitely many, have a huge potential when it comes to looksmaxxing, and it is definitely achievable for a majority, I believe.
So okay, so I think I get what you're saying. I think the audience understands what your overarching point is as well. That, you know, from the data that I've already presented in my own videos, the vast majority of people are a 4 or above, or a 3 or above. Well, pretty much everyone is a 3 or above. And, from the images that you're displaying on the screen, you've got yourself. I believe this is yourself. I think these are the same images that you sent me.
Myself, yeah.
Yeah, it is yourself
Yes.
in these photos at the bottom. And you've showed your looksmaxxing journey, going from, supposedly an unattractive guy, a 4 out of 10 on the bottom left-hand side, to an 8 out of 10 to the bottom right-hand corner. So that implies that, you can reach the top 20%, or even a smaller percentage than that, through looksmaxxing. But I still have two issues with what you're saying. Number one, the images, the two images on the very bottom left, so the first and second image, these aren't great pictures, especially the first one. Like, the angle is very bad. Like, you've not just lost weight, but you've also dramatically changed the angle. Like, I'm sure if you took that photo the same as you did on the rightmost one, the professional one, then it wouldn't be as big of a difference. Like, most people would agree, I would say, that you're an 8 out of 10 in the bottom right photo. But if you took the same photo on the bottom left one, then that photo would, instead of being around a 4, you would more be like a 7. So, like the high level pics, you are saying that is an important factor to gain, and you need to take advantage of that. But I don't think the bottom left pic is a photo that any man would be uploading to Tinder. Like, most people are going to have at least a decent idea. Like, even if they have nothing else at their disposal apart from just basic selfies, like, they're going to have a better image than the one provided at the bottom left with some bad angle that looks like it's been cropped, and your hair doesn't look good at all. Like, this is kind of basic stuff that everyone should be striving for. And the last comment that I was also going to make, we can't see this on the screen right here, but I just want to point out to the audience, because this will be highly relevant. Jimmaxxing, when I originally did the screening call with you, the bottom right pic, and I believe the one next to that one as well, so the two bottom right pics that you showed me originally, they were actually enhanced through FaceApp, which is a artificial intelligence software that increases the attractiveness of your face, things that you can't change. So these are artificially enhanced photos, which it is fair enough. A lot of people do it on online dating apps right now, but I think for the sake of the audience, like, the ideas that you're presenting, you're showing them unrealistic results that may not actually be achievable without editing or surgical procedures, because the facial improvements aren't just the fact that you've lost weight and that you've made jaw and neck exercises and you've taken high level pics. They're actually because you've used editing software.
But that's the point. See, women have been using makeup and all kinds of different filters for ages, but men are still reluctant to do something to enhance their appearance. Women use bras that increase their chest size and use all these different tricks. So a man should use things to his advantage. And from my experience, by improving your look artificially by a couple percentages, you don't, if you go out on a date with the girl you meet from Tinder, she's not going to tell you, you look ugly, you don't look like in your pictures, because it's just a slight boost.
Well, it depends how big the difference is. Like, if I'm being honest, I don't think there's an issue with touching up your photos a little bit. Maybe, increasing... Sorry?
If you look at the lighting, you can see that 99% of the jawline effect does not come from editing. It comes from a combination of having the jaw and having the correct lighting, which makes the shadow fall in such a way that the jaw is enhanced. So if you can, even if you would not apply any filters to your images, just improving your jaw can make a huge difference.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like, all of the things that you're recommending I'm not saying that you shouldn't do these things. Of course, it's important to lose weight, do the jawline and neck exercises and get high-level fit pics. I can somewhat see eye to eye with you on the image editing thing, like even though I disagree with it a little bit, for one main reason, and that's because, it's all well and good having high-quality pics on a dating app and getting a lot of matches and being able to arrange a lot of dates from that, but that's all fine and dandy until the second that you actually meet up in real life. Because if you let me finish this point. If you edit your pics too much, I'm not saying a little editing can help you out, but if you overdo it, which I'm not sure if you have done because I can't see the original photos, the non-edited photos of the ones you provided. Like if you overdo it, then the woman is going to get very upset, and she could like walk out straight away because she sees that you look nothing like your photos. Like do a quick Google search online on Reddit, and you will see like hundreds of posts by women saying, I'm sick to death of turning up to dates from guys on online dating apps, and they look nothing like their photos. They're either like 2-3 stone overweight or 2-3 points less attractive facially, or maybe even both. Like this is what you don't want to come into.
Now, I don't recommend to apply like large amounts of filters. And if you look at the shape of the jaw, I mean, it is obvious that it's impossible to achieve this look with only by editing. So the jaw is there. It's just like a slight enhancement of lighting. But let's move on to the next point. So you claim that Jimmaxxing gives you 1 point improvements. This is also a statement that you have made.
That was based on the data. Like, I think that you have misrepresented my beliefs a little bit there, because according to the data that I've collected through my Fiverr ratings, you are correct that it does lead to a 1 point improvement in terms of your facial attractiveness. However, I did make clear in the video that with regard to total SMV, it's probably closer to 2 points, because having a facial improvement of 1 point is obviously 1 point increase. That's a good thing, but then the increase that you have to the body as well will likely be another full point increase with regard to overall SMV. So if some guy who's average build, who's a 5 out of 10, gets jacked, he'll likely, after getting jacked, he'll likely be a 7 out of 10 once you factor in both the facial improvement and the bodily improvement.
Yeah, so this is the point. This is what I didn't like about the channel. You seem to have all these excuses for gym cells. Then you create one single category for jacked guys, which includes guys who are not that jacked. And then people believe that it doesn't make any sense to go to the gym. Like, it's not even worth it because, well, yeah, you might get 1 point out of it, but it's nothing major. But in reality, it can literally create a new human being. And there are levels to fitness, and I believe that by really going hard in the gym and following the correct system that is aimed at optimizing aesthetics, not taking steroids, not being a gym cell who just builds a weird body or has too high body fat, this can probably not just change your dating life, but your life overall. So this is a point that I wanted to make. Most people don't do this. So in your analysis, you pointed out that there were like 150 people approximately who are jacked. Now, out of those, realistically, probably the majority were not actually jacked to the point where they've given everything, like they maxed out their genetic potential. And this is something that I believe sub 5 and normies can do to, like you said, achieve large boosts. And therefore, I disagree with your strategy when it comes to dating. Like you made this video with the different pathways, and it didn't show this route from a sub 5 to a chat, but it's possible.
Can I make 1 point? I've got a few things to say. So, like, you are correct on a couple of things that you've just said. So, there are different levels to Jimmaxxing and being jacked. And for the sake of the video that I did put out with regard to, the categories that men fall into with regard to their body type, I did have to, like divide certain people into categories, even if they were a bit on the fence. So the examples that you provided on the bottom of the screen here, yes, they all do have different body fat percentages, but I may well have put all of them in the jacked category for the sake of the video. But like, obviously, I'm forced into a corner here. I need to categorize people to at least some degree. But in an ideal world, I would have liked to maybe divide more categories up. So there's like shredded, jacked, and lean, and there's different levels to how physically fit you are. So that was the first point that I wanted to make. But for the video, like, it's only a 16-minute video, I had to simplify it a little bit. And the other point that I was about to make is that I think in the video I remember making a point that of the jacked guys, for which there was, as you say, 150 of them, I think still about 25 or 30 maybe, it was something about 15% of them still fell into the sub-5 category. So even if every single man gets jacked, not all of them are going to be able to reach a 7 or an 8. In fact, it's quite the opposite. A lot of them still only manage to reach normie tier, and in fact, a small percentage.
Not 7 or 8. We're talking about 6.3 or plus.
But this is what's wrong. No, but this is what's wrong. So go back to the very first slide. Slide. So the issue that this graph presents is it implies that all of the 3s and 4s and the majority of the 5s have not looksmaxxed at all, and that they can all get up to the top 20%, the 6 to 7 and 8 range. But what if a lot of the 4s and 3s have already looksmaxxed? Like what? As I said, a lot of the guys who still got rated a 4, I believe it was 20%, had already gone to the gym and got jacked. So for those people, what else can they realistically do in order to get up to the 6.3 and above level? Like, because they've already done all the looksmaxxing that they can.
No, there are 294s in your statistic. There are 150 people who went to the gym, and out of those, probably maximum 20 are very jacked. So, and if all of these are 4s, then there is like a 10% ratio of 4s who have truly Jimmaxxed, which is not representative for the entire 4 population. So, yeah, actually, I have another slide which is kind of related to the discussion we're having right now, which is my claim that every 4 is not a true sub 5. Now, it's different for 3s, but I believe every 4 is not a true sub 5. Because you have said in that video that a 4 is nothing majorly damaging. And the flaws that all of these guys have, which are 4s, like not a single one of them has 10% body fat. Most of them don't have sharp haircuts, which would enhance like the edginess of the face. Some of them don't have tans. Like, there is so much that all of these 4 could do. I do not believe that they are already looksmaxxing.
Yeah, okay, I 100% agree with you here. This is the one point that I do agree with you fully on. That, yeah, you are right. Like, in every single one of these images, none of them none of them can say that they have looksmaxxed to the fullest. Like,
there are 4s that you have shown in your videos that have tried to looksmaxx. For example, there is like this Indian bodybuilding guy who has just like a very weird nose, and despite being like actually in the top 1% when it comes to physiques, he probably doesn't make the cut in the top 20% from his overall appearance. But the majority of 4s have not looksmaxxed. And like, you need to ask yourself, or I guess the viewer needs to ask themselves, like, what category do you fall in? And most people, they are not hard 3s. most people are either flexible threes, flexible fours, flexible fives, or flexible sixes. So there are very few cases where you're damaged in such a way that the gym won't save you. And if you're watching this video right now, I would bet my money that you can improve, because you're just one of the many who does not have a major flaw.
Yeah, okay. I 100% get what you're saying, and I just want to make one point very clear. I'm not anti-looksmaxxing. I am all for looksmaxxing. Like, for every single person on the screen right now, the 8 guys, there's not really any excuse for any of them. Like, you know, a lot of them do need to lower their body fat percentages, if not all of them. A lot of them need to get on skincare. Like, I can see at least 5 or 6, you know, just at first glance, who need to improve the quality of their skin, and skincare will help that. You know, and most of these guys, although I did rate them a 4, they probably could get up to a 5, 6, at the absolute most 7, I would say. But I think what we still got, I think what we still got to bear in mind is that there are both looksmaxxing factors, environmental factors, and there's also like genetic non-changeable factors. So if you take the guy at the very top left, he has a narrowing lower third. He also has an upturned nose. Those are 2 genetic factors that he cannot change, and they're going to impact his attractiveness automatically. So a narrowing lower third, say, that's a feminine feature. There's nothing he can do to change that unless he grow a beard, which doesn't look like he can because his beard growing genetics don't look all that great. You know, to try to shape it correctly in order to, you know, make it look like his jawline is a bit more square. But as it stands, even if he did fully looksmax the guy at the top left, he would still be held back by those genetic factors, such as the upturned nose, such as the narrowing lower third, which prevents him reaching a 7 or an 8. So at the absolute most for that guy at the top left, I think he can maybe reach 5. At the absolute most 6. I don't see him getting in the 7 to 8 range, even if he did fully gym max and, you know, fix everything else like the hair.
But there are also racial differences. So, like, maybe in a Western country, he would get difficulties, but in Asia, it wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's fair enough. Like, I really appreciate you coming on. If I'm honest, like, I was a bit apprehensive about, you know, you at first when I was originally doing the screening, but I'm really happy that you ended up getting on the call. Like, I think that you've done an excellent job in presenting your point of view. I think that the audience will have a lot to take away from what you have to say, and you've, you know, clearly done a good job of looksmaxxing yourself, so you clearly know what you're talking about. For anyone who, I'm not sure if I said this already, but the photos that you previously showed were actually of yourself, and, you know, they were very impressive. Like, you know, and the transformation was quite noticeable as well. We've been talking for about half an hour now, and I'd like to get to I'd like to give a chance to some of the other people that have lined up for the debate a chance to speak. So thanks for coming on, and for anyone who's enjoyed what Jimmaxxing has had to say, I believe you've got a channel of your own under the same name. Is that correct?
Yeah, I do. I just started one.
Yeah, so you just started a channel. I think you started it yesterday, didn't you? You uploaded your first video. So for anyone who, you know, has enjoyed what Jimmaxxing has had to say, then, you know, maybe give his channel a search, see what his more in-depth content is about. Do you have any closing thoughts, Jimmaxxing, before moving on to the next guy?
Yeah, so actually, with Waffles, I appreciate your videos because some of my looksmaxxing actually is driven and motivated by your old facial analysis videos. Who would have guessed? So my transformation between the worst and the best picture is it took about 1 year, and this is approximately the point where you started your channel. So I was influenced by this idea that you should take care of your face, and not just about being like a masculine man and having like a positive mindset and all this self-improvement. I wouldn't say nonsense, but to some degree it hinders you from progressing if you are two blue pill and two red pill about things. So the black pill definitely has impacted my life.
Okay, that's very good. Thanks for those closing thoughts. I'm going to move on to the next person. So alex.psych, if you're ready to jump onto debate, join the debate room now. I've just given you permission. I'll put it in the chat as well.
I'm leaving. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for coming on, Jimmaxxing. Alex.psych, are you ready to join the stream? I've given you permission. Alex.psych, are you ready to join? If not, I'll move on to the next. Oh, yeah, I can see you're in now. Okay, thank you. Talk.
Wonderful. Can you hear me okay? Do you
Yes,
have
I
a
can.
good sound?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, wonderful. I think, like we talked about last time, we had wanted to talk about some recent research on Tinder.
Yeah. I remember talking to you about this, but can you just give a quick brief to the audience?
Yes, definitely. I'll start from the beginning. We just mentioned it very briefly. So I guess to start at the very beginning, I think one thing that we would agree on is that looks are the most important factor on online dating, just some common ground there. So that's not being disputed. But I would rather get into the nuances specifically of how important, how important looks are, or more accurately, what percentage of men actually have success from online dating. A lot of people refer to the 30-70 statistic, which came from Christian Rudder's Dataclysm book, which was from OkCupid ratings of attractiveness on a scale of 1 to 5. Approximately 70% of women only rated 30% of men as attractive, or above a 2.5. So
yeah, I think I know what study you're talking about. I'm not sure if you have this with you, but would it be possible to share the screen if you're looking at the study right now? I think I did ask you.
I don't have that one, because that was kind of one that I wanted to not contest those directly, but look at a different statistic that gives a different picture.
Right. Do you have the new? Do you have the new study then? Do you have the new study that you can share on the screen? Because
certainly, I have two. So
okay, can you share the screen now? Because instead of telling people, it would just be a lot easier for the audience to, understand and digest.
Do I just put this into the chat?
The press share your screen. It should be at the bottom on Discord. Okay. If you're watching from if you're on a desktop, then just press share screen.
Great. Let me see here.
Are you able to do it?
Well, I'm on the mobile app, so maybe not.
Oh, okay. If you're on the mobile app, then don't. But okay, I'll tell you what. Put it in the waiting room. Put the study in the waiting room.
I put the first one in the waiting room.
Okay, it's in the waiting room. Okay, it's on the screen now. The audience should be able to see it. So it says 39% of online daters say they've been in a committed relationship or married someone they met on a dating site or app.
Okay, wonderful, sure. So this is a study from 2019 from the Pew Research Center. Like most Pew data sets, this should be a nationally representative survey. So we're looking, I think, if I remember correctly, this will be about 1,000 people randomly selected in the United States. And so we see here that at least 77% of people on the app have gotten a date from the app, and 39% of people have been in a committed relationship or married even to someone from the app. So when we look at Christian Rudder's data set that shows 70% of women only rate 30% of men attractive, we actually see that despite that rating, what women are doing is they're actually going on dates with a much, much wider amount of men, and they're actually forming relationships with a larger amount of men as well. So there's some disconnect between what women say is attractive and what women actually do. Like there's this saying, I guess, in both red and black pill spaces, don't watch what women say, watch what women do. And I think this is probably a better measure of what women do, and it paints a slightly more optimistic picture of what women do and the actual mates that they are selecting for relationships or for dates, even if it's just at least one date of that 77%.
Does this data, but by any chance, do you have this data broken down by gender? Because it'd be my guess that of that 77% of people that have gone on a date from dating apps, a large proportion of those will be women. So, if you break it down by gender, I'd guess that 90% of women have been on a date from a dating app, but only 50% of men have, because most men don't even get any matches on dating apps. So
in this study, I don't have it broken down by gender specifically, but at least with the relationships, this is actually a heterosexual sample. So when we're looking at the committed relationship, this is going to be for every one woman is one man, essentially. Okay. So at least we know that, at least for the committed relationship parts. As far as the 77%, I would estimate that it's probably the same, but actually we can look at the second study, which is a much newer study from this year, from 2022.
Yeah, the only other concern I had with that first study is that it doesn't show the age breakdown either. Like, for guys who are in the 18 to 25 age range, who, there's a lot more people watching who are of my audience who do fall into that age category. They might have a much harder time on dating apps than, say, men in their 30s and 40s, where it's a lot more balanced with regard to like your chances. Like, so even if you're an average tier guy in your 30s or 40s, you might still have a decent chance of getting a date with a woman on a dating app compared with the same average guy who's 18 years old and competing against, is fighting over like the, women who are like at the top of their game at the moment. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, yes, I absolutely agree with you. And in fact, I don't have the study that shows that, but in past studies on dating apps, we do actually see that older men do better on dating apps than younger men. Yeah. And also, I have run the last 10 years on my website with GSS data for relationships, and we consistently see as well that between 18 and 25, men do much more poorly in dating. They tend to be much more single. So there is that window of very young men between 18 and 25 that actually really struggle. And once you hit around 25, between 25 and 40, it all kind of evens out, at least as far as people dating and committed relationships. And that is off of the apps. But it is that young men that particularly have a hard time, both on and off of apps. So that is something that we would agree on as well, I think.
Okay, yeah. So this is like the point I was making, is in like, I do appreciate that you've come prepared with this to this debate with actual data that we can look at, but I just think that there's too many hidden numbers hidden in with this debate. And the other point I was going to make just quickly before you respond is that like when you were saying that guys who are 25 and up have a easier time online dating, I think a big misconception that people make with regard when they hear figures like that isn't because the men who are 25 and up are improving so dramatically. Rather, it's because the women who are on their age level are deproving like even more considerably. So like a guy who's 22 years old, say, he's like, I would estimate if he's looked after himself and he's put himself in a good spot and he has a decent template, like he's slightly above average height and he's decently above average in the face, like he might be a 6 or a 7 out of 10. But the women that he's competing for, they have all of the options in the world. Like, I'm not sure if you've seen this other study which shows the age ranges that people go for on dating apps, but every single age group for men between the ages of 18 to 40 are all going for the same girls. They all want to date the 18 to 24-year-old women. So if you're a man who's in the younger age demographic, say a 20-year-old guy, then you're competing not just with the people on your level, you're also competing with the men who are 10, 15 years older than you. So when you hear these studies like men who are 35 have a way easier time on online dating apps and it's a lot more balanced, I don't think it's necessarily because they've increased considerably in terms of value over the last 10, 15 years. Rather, it's because the women who have gone from 20 to 35 have got so much worse. Like obviously, everyone knows that the aging process for women happens a lot sooner. So they've gotten worse a lot more faster than the men who are also the same age as them have gotten worse. Do you know what I'm saying there?
Oh, sure. I agree with you, I think, for the most part on that. And something else to consider that's actually related to that is women date a few years up across that 18 to 25 age group. So some of the men, because when I ran the GSS data for the last 12 years, I broke it into sets between about 5 years apart, so starting at 25. and you'll see an imbalance between the 18 to 25 and up groups between men and women. And that is in large part because women between 18 and 25 are dating men who are a little bit older as well. So they do prefer, in general, men who are slightly older than themselves. And that will make it more difficult, especially for the youngest men in that 18 to 25 age group, because essentially men in these older age groups are dating women in their cohort.
Yeah, of course. Like, it's easy to work it out. Like, it doesn't take a mathematician to realise that if you're an 18-year-old guy and you're trying to date 18-year-old girls, you're competing against guys who aren't just 18, but also 19, 20, 21, and maybe even a few guys who are 22, 23, 24, 25. Like, it's a lot more concentrated. Like, you could be fighting a 7-to-1 battle for the same girl, and these guys who are, 21, 22, they would have, on paper, they're going to be a bit more attractive. They would have had more time to improve themselves, more time for their facial bones to develop, more time for them to, get a head start with their careers. Like, the guy who's 18 years old, he might just be fresh out of high school. Meanwhile, the guy who's 22, he could be finishing uni and going straight into a decently paying job. Like, he can be starting the ladder of the corporate world at that point. Like, these guys are miles apart.
Yes, exactly. So do you want to look at this other study that actually looks into this data a little bit better?
Yeah,
and it's a more recent study.
Yeah, that'll be a lot more beneficial.
I'll post this. I'll just post the chart from this into the
put it in the waiting room. Yeah,
into the same thing again, and I'll read you the title of this study because this is actually very interesting. This year, there has been a lot of research that has come out. There's been about 3 or 4 actually good studies, specifically about incels, and there has been very, very little research in the past on incels. The title of this study from this year is An Exploratory Study of Incels Dating App Experiences, Mental Health, and Relational Well-Being. So this is a study of young men. I think the average age in this was about 25 with a standard deviation of 7. So most of these men are going to be between 18 and 30 in this set. And this looks at specifically incels and their experiences on dating apps.
Can I just pause you for 2 seconds? What you're saying is completely fine, but I'm going to sound really petty here, but could you just refrain from using the words starting with I and ending in L for the rest of the debate? I'm sorry, I should have made this clear at the very beginning.
Sure, I didn't know.
Yeah,
sure, I can do that.
Yeah, but YouTube's got very serious with regards
to
down.
I don't want them to ping you for that or something.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing else. Other than that, carry on. I should have made this clear.
Okay. Well, everyone's heard it, so they know now anyway. So I don't need to repeat it anyway. So we have on the left-hand column.
Hello.
Oh my goodness! You know what? This is actually the.
Is this the correct study?
No, but I can pull it up again very quickly. So
I was going to say what you was talking about doesn't look like what I'm seeing on the screen. This is a different study. It looks like. Okay. Do you have the other study at hand, or do you want to just walk us through this one that you have? Hello?
Yes. I was just scrolling on the other phone here looking for the correct study. Well, we have this. We could.
Do you want to go through this one first, and then once you find the second study?
Actually, we could go through this one first. Actually, this isn't even particularly relevant to the topic at hand.
So should we forget this one? Okay, just
Yeah, I would just totally
try and find the other one then, because it's going good at the moment.
Yeah, I would.
This has been a good debate so far.
Oh, okay. So here we go. Let me see if I can download this on the.
While you're looking for that, I just want to say to all of the other people that are currently in the waiting room, ready to jump on. If you do have data ready, and you're wanting to bring it up on the screen, try to get it in a position where it's literally ready to go straight away. So take another screenshot at it, so you don't have to scroll through your phone for 5 minutes in order to find where you left it. Just make sure you're organized with your data. But other than that, it looks like you've found the study that you were referring to. Have you put it in the chat?
There it is. I had it saved, but I uploaded the wrong one. So, okay. So on the left-hand column are the men who struggle to find dating and sex, and on the right-hand column are other men. And this is men's experiences with online dating. So this also kind of confirms that this is from 2022. This also confirms the 2019 data from the Pew survey, where we see how many in the last. It's a little bit lower in this, actually, at least for one metric. Before, in the Pew survey, we saw about 77% of men, I believe it was, that said they got at least a date from that. In this, we see for the successful, I want to say successful men, but for the non-men, it was 66%. What's interesting about this, because it did measure the other population, we see that a whole 33% of the other group was actually able to get dates on Tinder, or at least one date.
Just pause 2 seconds. So the middle column shows the percentages of men that have got one of the things from the left, and then the right column is the percentages of women that have got one of the things from the left. Is that right?
No. These are actually both men.
Oh, these are both
column
men.
On the right. The column on the right is the men that I can't say the word of, that begins with an I. And
Yes.
On the left, the column on the right, the higher numbers are the men that are not that word.
Oh, what? So how do they distinguish the middle column? Like, how do they know that those people actually are, the ICELs? Like, how do they determine that they are?
Certainly.
Because
Well, this is
if I'm honest, surely it sounds
measure.
like a contradiction in itself. That if you look at the second to bottom line, it says, "Have you ever had sex?" And still 12.8% of men who identify as the IELs, I'll just call them from now on. That sounds like a contradiction in itself.
No, I agree with you. That would certainly be a strange issue in this study. This is a self-report measure, so these are men who reported that they identified as that. So, are some of them probably not that?
I'm just finding it a little bit
definition.
difficult to, accept this study. Like, I know it might sound like a weak argument that I'm kind of just chalking off the study in itself, but like, I'm looking at the numbers. The sample size is really low. Like, for some of these data points, we've got like 5, 8, 9, 19 people that have actually said yes or no to certain questions. And, I think based on the fact that there's a contradiction in the study itself, that you have guys that proclaim that they are powerless to get sex, have actually done it in the past from a dating app of all places, kind of implies that, this study isn't the most trustworthy source.
Well, you do have to wonder if there's what's called construct validity there. If it asks them first to self-identify as that, so that's their measure basically, is a self-identification. So these are men that say, yes, I am this thing. But then if you confirm and you ask them on that question, have you ever had sex? And 12% of them say that they have, then you have to wonder, like, oh, is this self-report accurate? Perhaps not entirely. But
evidently not.
Data set.
Evidently not. If 12.8% have said that they are, but they've already done the certain act in the past.
Certainly, at least for that measure, it's certainly a limitation. But it's not something that you would want to reject all of the findings. For example, if we look at the other column, the men who are not that thing, again, we see about 61% reported going on a date. About 58% reported if they have ever had sex. And there's actually another study that I didn't get a data set for, but this was a Tinder study done in Norway, and it also found about half of their respondents reported actually having sex from Tinder.
Yep. Can you get that study on the screen?
I didn't say that. It's just from memory. I would have to dig that up again. Okay. But it is a Tinder study in Norway.
Okay, right.
So, and again, a Norse population, how generalizable is that to the rest of Europe or to the United States is, of course, another limitation. Like I said, no study is going to be perfect. No measure is going to be perfect. If you ask someone to self-identify as something like this, some people might have said, oh, I was that in the past, but now I've had sex, so I'm not anymore. So you have to wonder, at least for that 12%, if they're contesting to that other thing. But here we still see 33% of that group said, well, I still got a date. 61% of the non-group and 30% of the ever had a relationship. So these are numbers that are a little bit lower than the 2019 data from Pew, but they're about 10% on both of those measures lower, but they still kind of show a similar trend there.
Okay, yeah. And I get what you're saying. I'm a little bit conscious of the time that we're going on for. Like, we've already spoken for 20 minutes, and I think you've done a great job of explaining the data. But like, I want to crack on a little bit. So I'm gonna I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt of the data. We'll just assume for now that it is accurate and that we can trust this source. But what I really want to get to is what is your actual overarching point? So as I say, I think you've done a great job of explaining the data, but now tell me like what is your conclusion to draw from this data, and how does it contradict things that I've said in my videos?
Okay, so I think the overarching point here is that dating apps are probably more successful than the 30-70 statistic from Christian Rudder would indicate, where women only rate 30% as attractive. We tend to see the numbers are a little bit higher for men that are actually getting dates and relationships and sex from the app. It's probably more like there's a half of men that actually really struggle on the apps and another half that it works pretty well from them. And what I would take home from this, for a practical point of view, for individuals seeking to date, I wouldn't not get on the app, because building a profile for the app, getting on the app, making a profile and all of that, even if you don't get very many matches, it takes almost no time. There's almost no reason not to do it if you're seeking dates. So it's kind of like just roll the dice, give it a chance. Your statistics or your chances are probably a little bit better than some of the information out there would indicate. And I think that's the summary of the point.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Like, yeah, I do get what you're saying. Like, so what would your advice to guys be? Who aren't the most attractive? Would you say that like online dating? Do you think they should still keep that as an option, or do you think that they should focus on other means of approaching women?
I mean, ultimately, it's going to be focus on all of the means that you can if you want to maximize your chances. Because even if you only get one match a month, it might turn into something, As far as to maximize their chances for online dating, having good photos is really, really a key. Actually, the previous study that I had linked to, the very first one, that shows actually that men who have higher education on their dating apps get about 3 times as many matches. So having a good profile, or at least having a profile that indicates some level of status and accomplishment, having good photos, maximizing your physical attractiveness and your appearance as much as you can. And if you don't get matches on the app, don't stress. Keep your options open everywhere else. Try to meet people in real life, of course. It's not one or the other. And the dating app takes so little time to do. There's really no reason not to.
I disagree with that. I disagree about the time thing. Like, as somebody who's used online dating apps myself, I can, like, honest to God, say that these things are like an extremely big time sink. Like, I recently did a Tinder experiment on my channel that documented this, and this was a guy who, in many respects was above average, and he swiped over 16,000 times, and he messaged like over 100 girls, and like, spent hours texting, and out of all of this, he only got 3 dates. So if you add up the time that he spent both swiping and messaging, and yeah, it's fair enough, maybe he was doing it like on the toilet or on the bus, like when he's not doing anything else, it is possible. But my guess is that not a lot of people like are doing that. A lot of people are kind of using these dating apps as an escape. Like they take up a lot of time, and they are actively doing it, not necessarily when they're just passing the time doing something else that they're already doing. So with regard to time, I think that it's an extremely inefficient use of trying to keep your dating options open. I think that a far more efficient use of time would be to do cold approach, or like join a social club where you can approach women in a warm environment.
Well, actually, I agree with you. I think actually that is probably going to be the better approach for a lot of men, is to get into a social environment or some kind of club where they, exactly as you said, have that warm approach avenue. I don't disagree with that at all.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's fair enough. So it seems like, by the end of this, we're actually kind of on the same page. Do you have any other points that you want to bring up before I move on to the next guest? Because I
think we've covered it all very well. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah,
it was nice to
as I
talk
say,
to you.
like, I'm really happy that you've like come prepared with data. Like, it's been really good so far. Like, as I said with the last guest, I was a bit apprehensive at first of how well this debate format would go live on the channel, because all sorts of things can go wrong. But so far, it's been really good. Like, I really appreciate you coming on.
Well, thank you.
Just make your closing thoughts, and I'll move. I'm gonna try to get the other person who's next in the queue ready, like, to make sure that he's ready to go live. But if you want to make any closing thoughts, go ahead.
No, I just started a YouTube channel recently. I have a website, Date Psychology, where I cover a lot of research on dating, a lot of psychology. I'm a graduate student studying research in behavior and cognition, so with a focus on attraction and dating. So some of these things might be interesting if you guys are all interested in that kind of thing. And thank you for having me on again. It was a very good chat.
Okay. Yeah, thanks you for coming on. I think you've been a very good guest. I'm just gonna join the allow the next person to join the debate. So, Belly, if you're watching the stream, I've given you permission to join. So now is your chance to get on and say what you have to say. Hello.
What's up?
You've joined straight away. Can you
I'm
talk?
watching live.
You're a bit quiet. Could you speak up by any chance?
Okay, is it better?
Talk.
Wait.
Are you okay?
Wait, I will boost my microphone.
Okay, I can boost you automatically.
Is it better?
Yeah, that's better. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you're good to go. So, thanks for coming on the stream. Without any wasting time, tell us exactly what you disagree with.
I disagree with your point that men shouldn't hit back women if they physically attack them. You made a point that the only time men should hit a woman was if she has a weapon. But what if a woman is stronger than men? What then? Like, if you base your point on generalization of male and female strength and said that men are generally stronger than women, then that's the reason why every single man must not hit women back. Why do you make the point about strength and then generalize the whole group? Why don't you make the point about weak and strong people and say it like this? When weak people physically attack stronger people without weapon, then stronger people shouldn't hit back. Does that sound more logical from your perspective? Because you were basing your whole argument on general strength of a male population. If a female is stronger than men, do you agree then that man should hit women back? And if a female is stronger than men physically, if he's a twink or whatever, then she must not hit him back if he attacks her.
Yep, I fully get your point, and I'm going to respond to it now. So, just for anyone who is watching and doesn't understand the point that Belly is referring to, in my most recent video, I made 3 arguments to why if a woman in a relationship strikes you, you should not retaliate. You should not hit her back. And there was 3 reasons for why I supported that argument, but it seems like Belly disagrees with this, which I did get this exact comment made by a few guys in the comment section of that video, which is saying that what if the situation arises where a woman is actually stronger than a man? Of course, it's not going to be common, but of course, some women are very strong, especially if they've been training and they know how to fight. Then you are going to. Just off the top of my head, this is a wild guess, but I would say 1% of women might be stronger than a man in any given fighting scenario. So I do get your point. But I do want to make a couple things clear. So my first question to you is, as I said, I made 3 arguments in the video with regard to why you should not retaliate. And if we address the first one, in a legal matter and a social matter, even if the woman is stronger than the man, who do you think the police and society and your friends and your family are going to side with if you strike her back, even if she is stronger than you?
Listen, I agree with you with that in American society, but for example, if you're in Saudi Arabia and a woman hits you, you can do whatever you want.
Okay, but I live in the West. The vast majority of my audience lives in the West. I'm not asking about other countries of the world. Like, I think we should stick to what's relevant for the majority of my audience, because they're the ones who are actually going to, be taking away the information from this debate. So, with regard to those, what should they do?
If they want to save themselves, then they should not hit her. But it's, in my opinion, it's completely morally justified to hit her back. Morally, yes, but legally, no. But morality is still subjective, so you said that it's morally wrong, which I disagree on. I don't disagree on that for personal benefit. It's better to record. I agree with that for personal benefit. But for moral stance of view, I disagree with.
Okay, let me just talk a little bit about the morals, because this is an argument that I'm a little bit more passionate on. You have correctly identified that there are going to be scenarios where a woman is stronger than a man, and in which case she actually has the upper hand in a fight. But what I'd like to know is, one, how many women are actually stronger than the average man, and two, the more important question, like, do you have data on how many guys have been killed from a woman who's unarmed in the last year in a fight that he chose not to retaliate?
I do not have any data because I think data is
the reason why I asked that question is because my guess would be zero. Like, it'd be my guess.
Yeah, absolutely zero. Yeah.
Yeah, I would say.
Data because,
I would say that in a fight between average man and average woman, no matter what the woman does, unless she's playing exceptionally dirty, like trying to gouge for the man's eyes, or rip out his hair, then there's a very, very, very low risk of the man actually suffering long-term harm from that fight. But obviously, if she was going to go to that extreme and fight dirty, then, the man, I would say, that is in every right to strike her back and defend himself. But what I think that would be a better way of action, if recording isn't available for the man, is instead of striking her back, why can't he just detain her? Because as I say, most people would agree, based on the biological circumstances, 99% of men are going to be stronger than the average woman. That's just a biological fact. So why don't these men just try to restrain the woman, just hold her arms behind her back, not let her strike you anymore? And, by doing this, you can let other people intervene and see what's going on, that you're actually the good guy here and you're not trying to hit her.
You're jumping from a moral conclusion, which is morally right, to which is self-beneficent. Let's exclude what is self-beneficent and focus on what's strictly morally right.
Right, let me ask you this question. This is coming from a different angle then. If a child, a 10-year-old child, hits you, should you hit him or her back?
I mean, no.
Why?
But if no, because for moral stance of view, I mean, your morality can be subjective, so you can think that hitting a child is good, and from your point of view, that may be good. But from legal stance, you will.
No, I'm not talking about legals. I'm talking about morals now. So why shouldn't you hit a child, even if he or she hits you first for no reason whatsoever? Why shouldn't you do that? Hello?
I'm thinking.
Okay.
I don't know. It just feels wrong. Like it comes from emotional.
I think the reason is simpler than what we're making out to be. I think there's two parts to it. One, like the only reason, 9 times out of 10, the only reason that a child would hit an adult for no reason is because he or she is not thinking rationally. It's a child at the end of the day. Like,
but is it capable? He's not thinking rationally?
He's not thinking. He or she is not thinking. In that moment of time, hold on a second, I should not hit an adult. It's a matter of disrespect for one, and two, that person is vastly stronger than me. But the second reason you shouldn't hit the child is the fact that you are biologically stronger than that individual, like by magnitudes. And I think that this is the exact same situation that I presented in the video. So if you rewatch the clip at the start, the woman who was trying to attack the boyfriend, it was clear that she had completely lost the plot. She was not thinking rationally or logically in the slightest. She was going wild. She was berserk. She was not right in the head. So I don't think that it's appropriate for the man to retaliate. Rather, he should just do everything he can to either restrain her and let her calm down, or he should, do as he did in the video, which is record her actions in order to protect himself. But that's beyond morals. That's more for the legal purposes. But I think that it's I might get people disagreeing with me in the comments saying you can't compare hitting a child who's not thinking straight to a woman who's thinking straight. But if I'm honest, I don't see the difference.
Okay, I will now explain you the difference. The difference is a 9-year-old child capable of thinking straight like a 25-year-old woman?
My question is the woman thinking straight? Is the woman thinking straight in that moment, like the clip?
No, but the man can be. But the man can be thinking like he can become berserk too and hit a woman, and that doesn't justify his actions, and that doesn't justify women to hit a man back who is a berserk. Being berserk and losing your mind is not an excuse not to be fought against.
But I think we both had an opportunity to state our point, and I was actually really looking forward to you coming on. And I think that this is a divisive thing. Like the video that I uploaded did kind of split my audience quite down the middle. Some people were saying that they agree with my actions. Some people were saying that they disagree with my actions. But I think that it is a valid point. I'd like to actually look at the live chat right now to see what other people are saying. But if anyone can actually answer this question, why is it okay to hit someone that you are biologically stronger than if said person has, is not right in their head, if they've lost their mind in that moment of time? Because I think that these are two parallel examples. Would you like to make a remark? I'm going to have a look at the live chat to see what they're saying.
I have a question, from a perspective where a male is a lot stronger than another male. Imagine, for example, me hitting on a C-Bum, Chris Bumstead, or some strongman, going berserk on him. Is he justified to hit me back? We are both male, but he's a lot stronger than me. Is he justified to hit me back? Or just because he's biologically stronger than me? He's a strongman, or he's a bodybuilder. Can he hit me back, or he must only neutralize the threat without more force to hurt me? You understand?
Yeah, so you're comparing a man that's, say, taller and stronger than you.
Yeah.
But you're both biological men, aren't you?
Yes, but he's still stronger than me. If your argument is based on solely on strength, why does the gender matter?
Because it's a biological difference. Because a man who is a biological man, when this is why if you look at the Olympics and fighting, professional fighting, they don't split people, by their strength. They split people by their gender first and foremost, but then also as a secondary measure, their weight class too, because these match people up in a fair fight, don't they?
Yeah, they match them based on their weight. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Gender and weight.
Yeah. So they do both of those two things. So I think that most people, if they saw a man who is, say, 15 stone fighting a man who is 8 stone, I think more people would empathize with the lighter guy because they know that it's not a fair match.
Yeah, so do you agree that stronger men should not hit a weaker man back?
I think if we're going to take a moral standpoint on this situation, I think if you look at each of these examples in their individual cases, I think most people would have a much stronger emotional reaction to seeing a guy who's twice the weight hitting a guy who's half the weight compared with the other way around. So if a man who's 16 stone hits a 8 stone man, that's going to look way worse than it will the other way around. Morally, are they the same thing? Because it's both, at the end of the day, a person hitting another person, whether it's provoked or unprovoked, they're both the same thing. But it could all just be what's it called? People love to support the underdog, don't they? People love to support the little guy, and the big guy is always looked down upon. But one other point that I did make in the
So
video.
do you agree with that? Do you agree with that crowd empathizing with smaller man?
Morally, they might be the exact same thing. I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, so you're saying so if they're not 100% thing, small, 170 centimeters, twink male who has the same amount of muscle mass as the 170 female, like same muscle mass, same everything, but the only difference is their gender, and like they're both equally strong. You would say that that small man going berserk on another stronger man is like is wait let me resentence my sentence again. So you're saying that a smaller man who is equally stronger or equally weak as a woman is not justified to hit another bigger man, but a woman is. So a stronger man cannot hit a smaller man back, but he can hit smaller woman back.
Wait, I think you might have confused that a little bit. So just to be 100% clear on it, so you're saying it's okay for a large man to hit a small man, but not a large woman to hit a small man? Was that what you said?
Assuming the small man and the woman are both equally strong, like equal mass,
so we're talking
equal
about
height.
equal mass, equal strength.
Yes.
Yes. What would I say in that situation? So the man strikes the woman first, or the woman strikes the man first?
The smaller man and the smaller woman strike the bigger man first.
Wait,
can he hit them both back?
Wait, I'm getting a little bit confused now. So we have.
There are two scenarios. A smaller man who is equally strong as the woman in other scenario hit a stronger man back. Can that stronger man hit that small man back? And in other case scenario, woman does the same thing. Can he hit them both back equal force?
Okay, I completely get what you're saying now. So if the smaller man hit the larger man unprovoked, he went crazy and he decided to pick a fight that he was obviously going to lose, should the big man retaliate? Morally, there might not be anything wrong with retaliating. However, I think I did make this point in the video. It was my third argument for why men shouldn't retaliate. Like, it's about the emotional strength and the willingness and humbleness to know when you should walk away from the fight. So the bigger man, if he got hit by a person who was half his size, like, he knows and everyone else in the room knows that if he did retaliate, he would be able to knock his lights out. There's no question about that. It's a fight that he's guaranteed to win. But in my opinion, there's not necessarily any pride for him to gain from doing that. Like, what is the benefit of hitting this person, who he can obviously beat up? Do you know what I'm saying there?
Yeah, that could be the same argument as hitting. So you agree that stronger man shouldn't hit weaker man back?
Morally, he may have every right to do so. Legally, he may have every right to do so. But whether he should do it or not, that's a completely different question. If I was in that man's position and somebody half my size hit me, I wouldn't necessarily hit them back. Like, if I'm twice the size of him, let's be honest, like, that his punch isn't going to do any damage to me. Like, I'm going to be able to brush it off. It's not going to hurt that much. I know that I can just take it on the chin and then walk away from that encounter. And could I potentially hit him back and put him in his place? Yeah, of course. But what would I actually be gaining of doing that?
Okay, so I was trying to find the consistency in your argument and I found it. So it's okay. You wouldn't hit a woman back and you wouldn't hit a smaller man back. That's what I wanted to know.
Okay, yeah. I think I'm not sure if either of us are going to change our minds on this subject. I think that this is a very divisive topic that I did raise originally in my video. A lot of people disagree with it, but then there was a few people that actually saw eye to eye with me with the remarks that I was making as well. But it's not really related to dating, so I'm
Yeah,
gonna.
you should keep it out of your channel. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next debate now. I think that we've both had an opportunity to say
Yeah.
everything that we need to say.
Yeah.
So
Thank you for inviting me, bro.
okay, no worries. Bryson is up next on the debate. So Bryson, I'm gonna allow you to join the discussion. I'm gonna give you permission to join now. Bryson, you've got permission to join the debate room. Hello, Bryson. Can you hear me? You've got permission. Yep, join the debate room now. You should have an invite. Is the debate room available on your screen? Can you see it? I don't know why it's not letting me invite you. Because I'm searching for you. Oh, you've joined. Okay, awesome. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you, and I think the audience can see you as well. Thank you for coming on the onto the stream.
Thank you for having me. So I guess we'll go right into it. I disagree with you saying that women...
I can hear you, and the audience can hear you as well.
Okay, right on. So I disagree with you saying that women care mostly about looks. And, hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can still hear you, and the audience can hear you. Is everything okay on your end?
Yeah. Here we go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I had the YouTube open as well as that, so it was kind of doubling. That's what was going on my end.
Okay, no worries.
So...
Yep.
So, yeah, so I disagree with you saying women care mostly about looks and that not everyone can be in the top 20%. Reason being is I know you've mentioned in one of your videos about, kind of the gold digger trope. And, I mean, it's totally true. Some women do seek that. But if you take a look, how do I drop pictures
to show
the audience?
You can either share your screen or you can dump whatever you need into the waiting room and then I'll just bring it up.
Okay, let me see here.
So which one are you going to go with? If you're on a desktop, go onto Discord and go to the debate room, and then at the very bottom it will say share your screen.
Okay, perfect.
Can you do that now?
Yes. Share. There we go. You guys can see me?
I'm not sure if your face will disappear, but the data will probably be more important anyway.
Yeah, that's no problem. That's desktop. There we go. So just to take a look at this picture right here, Anna Nicole Smith. She
we can't
ended
see
up
it yet.
marrying.
You've got to press share your
Cannot
screen.
see it.
Yeah, press share your screen on Discord. It'll be in the debate room.
It's there we go.
Have you pressed it?
Yeah.
We can't see.
Sure I did.
You can't see it. If not, just dump whatever you need into the waiting room, and I'll bring it up on the screen.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and do that.
Okay, yeah. So go to the waiting room, and then press where you can type a message. Press the plus button, and you'll be able to attach a file there that you need, and then it should load up in the waiting room.
Okay, perfect. Debate. Here we go.
Have you sent it?
So
you not
yes,
sent it?
Just sent it.
It's not coming up. Have you sent it in the waiting room?
Here we go. It's sending through. Yes.
Is it loading?
Yes. Loading right now. About halfway.
How big is the file, man?
4.8 megabytes. Here we go.
Okay, so it's just loading.
So, anyways, you're going to see the picture. I think all of us on this call right now, we can all agree, taking a look at this man, that he is not
okay. I can see it.
Of somebody that we would want to trade places with. I think we can all agree we are higher value than this person. Our looks max, I don't care who you are. I think you'd agree you would rather be yourself than this person, other than the fact that he's kissing an attractive blonde girl. The one differentiator
I'm just going to halt you in your tracks there. I think there would be a bit of debate about how attractive the woman on the right is. I don't know how old she is, but okay, that's a bit of a more flattering angle.
Yeah. So
I was going to say in the first photo, like she looks quite old. I'm not sure what it is about the photo, but like, you know, she obviously she's nowhere near as old as the man on the left, but like, I don't know what it is about this image, but she just looks like in her mid to late 30s, maybe even 40. But obviously in the second image, like, you can tell that she's highly attractive.
Yes. So, you know, the differentiating factor, the reason why he was able to get her is just money. And yes, she totally obviously was with him for the wrong reasons. But you could see they ended up getting married, so that's his own fault if he wanted to get into a legal contract with the government to allow her to take half his money. He ended up dying and she inherited everything, but that was his own decision.
Okay, yeah, this explains everything. Yeah, sorry to just interrupt there. Like, but what you just said there, like, pretty much sums it up. I'm not sure if I asked you when we was doing the screening call, like, what you actually disagree with me on, but surely this, you know, is like just, you know, showing the black pill even more, like, because, you know, it's widely regarded within the black pill community that if you have a lot of money, you can buy love, essentially. Well, not necessarily love, but you can buy interest, and if you do get love from it, it will be everything but real. It will be fake love. So, you know, what this man has been able to do, like, purchase this highly attractive woman who, you know, and I'm guessing he died within the next year or so. Like, I don't think it contradicts anything that I've said on my channel.
No, so this is an extreme example just to show, you know, money can buy you that. But for the regular average person who's, you know, 3, 4, 5, whatever you are, I think that there is a benefit to going on a self-improvement journey, bettering yourself, going to the gym, putting in that time and developing yourself, your job, your status, all of those different aspects to get a woman to date you. And, you know, you say not to lead with your wallet, but inherently any type of dating scenario, you're going to lead with your wallet. It might not be, you know, here's a house, here's anything like that, but 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to take a woman on a date. So you have to use some monetary value to kind of bait her in. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is that even if you're not rich, you can develop some sense of status, some amount of money, and just develop yourself where you'd be able to pull in some women. I guess the thing that I disagree with the most with you is I feel like you try to sell hopelessness to men, and I think that there is hope for everybody. But the way that you get the hope to come out of you is by actually putting it into action rather than just sitting around feeling sorry for yourself. That's obviously not going to get you anywhere. You know, being behind your keyboard in mom's basement, you're obviously not going to get dates with women. But if you put in the time to develop yourself, become well-versed, charismatic, you'll have better options. I'm not denying that looks don't matter, because they obviously do. There's just things you can do to looks max yourself, and it's not all doom and gloom and hopelessness, which I feel you kind of sell to your audience personally.
Okay, I'm going to make a comment similar to one that I made very early in the stream. Like, earlier in the stream, I said that I'm not anti-looksmaxxing. And in response to you, I'm going to say that I'm not anti-money maxing. I'm not anti-self-improvement. Like, these are grand things that every guy should be striving to do. But my main issue with money maxing is when it's used as a direct means of trying to attract women. I don't think that, you know, like what this guy has done on the screen here is a victory for him. It's anything but that. Well, actually, I don't know about that, because he is on his last legs. You know,
Yeah,
he might have got, you know, a little bit of fun for the time being, and, you know, you can't take your riches to the grave. Everyone knows that. So, you know, maybe it was an actual victory for him. But for everyone else, for every man who is 35 or below, or even 50 or below, where they've still got years of their life left, don't be leading with your wallet. Don't try to buy love. It's always going to end up badly, because she will end up, you know, just using you for it.
Right. And then if I could say one more thing, the kind of going back to the not everyone can get into the top 20%. I think it's no shocker if you look around, you observe kind of the ways we are as a society, especially post-COVID. So much of us are socially anxious. We're kind of afraid to get out of our little bubble, out of our cocoon. And honestly, Wheat Waffles, as long as you're selling this, you know, if you're not attractive, you have no hope type of message to men, as long as you put in the time to try to better yourself, you're going to be in that top 20% just for the fact that you can socialize with women. You have the confidence to do such. I'm not saying it's not going to be hard. As long as there's a group of men who are just kind of the doomer mentality, who aren't even going to try, by default, that window opens up for everybody else who's willing to put in the effort. So I think, doing the self-improvement grind, the gym, status, wealth, everything just for yourself. If it's not focused on the women will come with time, with your confidence, just being able to put yourself out there and talk to them.
Can I just ask, where did you get this idea of, that my channel represents hopelessness from? Because have you seen my have you seen my video where I, asked the question, what should you do in your dating life? It's like a big flowchart. Have you seen that video?
I don't think I've seen that one.
Okay.
I've seen, I can't remember which ones, but some of the older stuff.
Well, if anything, that video that I uploaded, it's anything but hopelessness, because at no point in the flowchart did I tell guys, no matter how bad their scenario is, that right now the only option is to give up and, just sit in your basement all day. Like, for every single person, no matter what their situation was, I still, said this is the best path that you should follow in order to optimize your life. I just wanted to make one caveat to that. There was one group of guys who, maybe you could perceive it as giving up, because based on the questions that they had already answered, I believe that it was the best route forward for these men to take a step back from dating and focus on other things in life that make themselves happy, whether that be like traveling the world, focusing on their dream job, like their hobbies, their passions. And this was a very, very small percentage of guys who I believe would actually fall into this category. It was people that like were sub fives, very unattractive, who didn't have a lot going for them, had no social skills. They pretty much ticked no boxes. And for these guys, I think that it would be far better for their mental well-being, their happiness, their self-esteem, to put dating aside and focus just on the other areas of life. Because, if a guy like that does try to optimize his dating life, all he's going to face is rejection after rejection. If he approaches 1,000 women, then, he's going to get rejected 1,000 times, because he's just that far down the hierarchy. And that's going to have a huge negative impact on his self-esteem. So I don't think that that's really beneficial for him. So ideally, this guy, what he should be doing is instead do what I recommend, which is focusing on other things that make him happy besides dating.
Fair enough. I agree with that. If
Yeah,
I could just say
does that mean
one...
give up to you? Does that sound like giving up? Because you could perceive it that way, of course. That might sound like, it's the advice is to give up, but I'm seeing it more in a positive light, that, look for other things in life that you find fulfilling.
No, so the way you presented it right now, I do not see as hopelessness, but the main thing that kind of caught my attention was you did a debate with Hamza, and you brought up this picture of this kind of bald guy who was super jacked, and you kept pressing. You're like, oh, he's already looks max. Is there any hope for him? Is there any hope for him? And you were kind of just adamant, like, this guy is screwed. There's no chance in all hell for him. And I don't think that's the right message to send. I mean, obviously it's going to be harder for him compared to like a Chris Hemsworth or something like that. To just give up on yourself. Obviously, if you're not trying, you have 0% chance of success. At least if he's trying, even if it's a 5% chance, once he hits 5%, you just got to hit it once and he's golden. So.
Okay. So do you have any other points of disagreement? I know you mentioned the not getting into the top 20% thing. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on that?
I mean, yeah, just I kind of feel, especially with the younger generation, a lot of guys just don't really try to better themselves. I'm 31, so I work with a lot of guys kind of in that age range, and the majority of them just play video games. They don't really try to do anything to better themselves. So as you're going about dating, if what you bring to the table is the same thing her little brother brings to the table, obviously you're not going to be very attractive, very enticing. But if you have your own purpose, your own plan, and you have your own mission, your own, you're walking your own path, you're going to naturally entice women to come towards you just due to the air of mystery that you have to you. Because it's like, hey, this guy doesn't just sit around in mom's basement eating pizza, playing Call of Duty all day. He seems like he has a purpose, and like, I'm trying to do, my shit tests with him, and he's not falling for them. So I just think a lot of it is building your own confidence, going your own way, just building yourself up, making a name for yourself, and eventually the women will come. And to me, that's the top 20%, just because a lot of guys don't try.
If I'm being completely honest, like, I think that what you're saying is good advice for like 80% of the population, because I think you've always got to give respect to the bottom 20% of guys who, even if they do focus on themselves for a long period of time, it might be a futile effort. They might not ever see the fruits of their labour being paid off. But for the majority of people, like this, I'm talking to all normies right now. So if you're watching this and you're a normie, listen up. If you're at home and playing video games for extended period of time, if you have other bad habits, if you drink heavily, if you smoke, if you do things that are anti-self-improvement, for you people, if you're complaining about your dating life, I don't think there's any excuse. Like, this is where you kind of do need to go on a self-improvement journey. And I've said it before, and I'm being consistent here, that if you are a normie, you can have a dating life that you find fulfilling, given enough time and effort. If you are on your self-improvement journey, will you be able to have a dating life that's on par with like the Chads, like the natural born people? Probably not. No, it's going to be very far-fetched that you're going to be able to get that. But will you be able to get a dating life where you can find a relationship that you're happy with? Absolutely. I've seen plenty of guys who have reached out to me do it before, and these are all in the average category, the so-called normie zone, and lots of these have shown that they can go from a 5 to a 6, possibly even 7, and improve the other areas of life so they can get the relationship of their dreams that they've always wanted. Like, it's absolutely possible for guys in that category. But if you're a 3, say, then it might be a lot more difficult unless you're a 3 with potential. Like, let's say that you're extremely obese, then it might well be possible for you to get to a normie once you lose weight, and then you can follow the exact same process as the normies that I just gave advice to a second ago.
Right. I think it's worth mentioning too, by definition, no, everybody cannot get in the top 20%, because if they all were, the top 20% would
it would just move up. Yeah, like if you look at the way that height has changed over the last 100 years, if you were 6 foot 100 years ago, I don't know the exact percentage, but it'd be my guess that you'd be in the top 1%. Like, the average height 100 years ago, I believe in the West, was only about 5'6" or maybe 5'5", which by today's standards is very short. Like, that's in the bottom 10% of height. The average height today is 5'10", and 6 foot, is like it's kind of common. Like a lot of women kind of have it as their standard on online dating apps. So it's nowhere near as good of a thing as it might have been 100 years ago, say. So yeah, you are right that the percentages, like, just by the very definition of how these things work, it's impossible for every single person to reach the top 20%, because if every single man on the planet gave up the bad habits that were preventing them from improving tomorrow, and they all got on a self-improvement journey, you wouldn't actually see a change in the dating market, because every single man would just be moving up on average. So every single man would increase their SMV by, say, 1 point, which wouldn't actually change anything.
Yeah, the average would move with it, so nothing changes.
Yeah, so we both kind of see eye to eye here. Do you have any other points of disagreements before I move on to the next person? I do want to get through a few more guests, because I think I've only gone through 4 now.
Yeah, just real quick, I shared one last image of Jonah Hill with his ex-girlfriend.
Oh, is this on the waiting room?
Yes.
Yeah, he's got status though, isn't he? Like, he might not be attractive. He's probably about a 4 out of 10, facially, and he's with a woman who's a couple points above her. I wouldn't say that she's the prettiest girl in the world, but I'd say she's about a 6. Maybe it's not the most flattering angle though. So she actually dressed herself up properly and took a decent photo. Yeah, maybe I'm underestimating here. She could be a 7 or an 8. But this is status. This is a simple case. Like, this guy, he's a very high paid actor. I don't know who the woman is. I don't know if she's high profile as well, but his status is obviously doing the heavy lifting here.
Right. And it's just to the point. You've kind of touched on that, but I think we could all agree he's not the most attractive male. There's many things he could do to looksmaxx, but by merit of him working on himself, the things he's achieved, you said it too, she's at best a 6 or a 7. He was able to attract somebody. So going back to it, I know you're not preaching hopelessness anymore, but I guess the main thing I want to emphasize is that there's hope for every man as long as they work on themselves, that they can at least attract some mate. I don't think we're all going to, we can't all get tens. That's not the way it works. But to go about your life thinking that you're going to be alone forever and to just give up and not try, I think is foolish.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I agree with you on that last point. I'm just gonna add the next person to the stream. Thank you for coming on. Rampage, if you're listening, now is your opportunity to get on the stream. So if you're Rampage and you're watching the stream, I'm just giving you permission now to join the debate room. Okay, Rampage, you now have permission to join. So Bryson, thanks for coming on the stream. Thanks for sharing us your point of view. Rampage, again, are you ready to join the stream? Press debate room if your name is Rampage. If not, I'll get the... Oh, yep, he's joined now. Okay, thank you, Bryson. I'm going to disconnect you now and Rampage is on. Okay, thank you for coming on. So, let's just jump right into it. So, what points do you disagree with me on?
Okay, so shout out to Bryson. He said most of what I wanted to say, so shout out to him.
Okay. If that's the case, do you have any other points of contention then? Because I don't want to. I don't want to repeat.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to shout out the first two guys too, and Berserker as well. So one of my first criticisms of your channel here is the message of the juice is not worth the squeeze if you're not in the top percentile of men. So, like Andrew Tate says, if you could create your own character, you would give yourself perfect stats in every attribute. I think we're all agreed on that. 6'3", jacked, high IQ, cool foreign accent, square jawline. Okay, sure. But for a below average looking guy, is dating worth the effort to you?
Below average,
in your view?
How below average are we talking?
Well, what are your thoughts on that? Because my impression for you is that you have this...
immediately jump to mind for me here. Number one, is this below average guy, does he have potential? So if we're talking about a bottom 40% guy, can he climb the ranks and get to the top 40% or top 35 or top 30? Is that possible? And the second thing that I want to know is how below average is this man in question? Because there's a massive, below average is a wide range. It's 49.999%. There's a massive difference between a guy who's bottom 45% compared with bottom 2%. So I want you to be a bit more specific when you're saying, is it worth a squeeze for a below average guy?
I posted a picture in the waiting room if you want to take a look.
You've sent a pic in the waiting room.
You tell me the picture that I posted. Where would you rate this guy?
How long ago did you send the image? Because I can't see it. Was it earlier in the day?
Just a couple minutes ago. No, it was at 4:30, like just now. Yeah, it's the last post.
Oh. What, the one that
Can you
Bryson
bring that up
sent?
for me?
Are you talking about what Bryson sent him? The one with Jonah
The one
Hill.
in the wheelchair, can you see? No, below.
Below? Oh, no, I can't see it. It hasn't loaded yet. Have you sent the image?
Oh, okay.
Is it loading?
Yeah. Okay, either way, you can research Shane Burkow. That's Burcaw.
Yep, I know exactly who you're talking about now. Yeah, just for anyone who's watching, this is this YouTube couple. What's his name? Jake Burkow?
Shane
Burkow. Yeah, just look him up. Yeah. It's called... what's his channel called? It's called Wormy and Scrubs, I believe. Anyone who's interested...
Squirmy and Grubs.
Yes, Squirmy and Grubs. For anyone who's interested, just give him a quick Google search, and the first image you see will tell you the full story. It's a man who's got some very severe physical disability. Like he's permanently in a wheelchair, and I can't imagine he's very tall. He's about 4 foot, and that's not an under exaggeration. There, he's physically disabled, and the woman that he's with, like the whole purpose of the channel is that he's managed to get into a relationship with a woman who is extremely attractive. Well, not extremely, but clearly way above him. Like I would say that she's at least a 7. She's clearly above average. So what do you have to say about him?
Yeah, and also he didn't have any money. He was just a student. He didn't have any money at the. They were like both in their early 20s or something when they met. So and they were living far apart as well. They were long distance. So I mean, look, even if we're going that far on the range of a lot of challenges, even physically, like it's possible, right? So ranking dude, I don't think is like super helpful. Yeah, you can say like, okay, in terms of looks, fine, but what about the overall all stats combined, right? So does it really make sense to rank every guy from 1 to 10, or is it completely arbitrary outside of their looks? Like when you take,
I think it's
everything.
Beneficial. I think it's beneficial. I'll address the Shane Burkow thing first. So I'm not sure if you have seen this expose video of him, but I'm very sure that like they was exposed as like being a fake relationship, that it's just like a business, that the producers and the film crews decided, oh hey, we can create this relationship where some guy who's got a disability, and let's say as part of the storyline that he's got this relationship with an extremely attractive girl, and the proof that actually made that sound reasonable was the fact that he hasn't had a relationship with just the one extremely attractive girl, but actually two. And a few years back he was with somebody else who was equally attractive, and there was also some big like campaign, like marketing thing going on, and they were advertised like across the world as this couple where, as I say, the disabled man was able to get this relationship with an attractive woman. So I don't think that relationship is real, but the audience can
they've addressed the criticism of it being fake multiple times. Even in the recent videos, you can go and they've debunked that pretty clearly. But anyway, look, I think your message is also like stay off the dating apps if you're not at least average. If that's the case, can you confirm?
I would say that it's wise to avoid dating apps if you're not at least a 7, and it's not just because, let's say you're a 6, you won't be able to get any success from online dating. It may well be the case, but I think it's more of an opportunity cost thing than anything else. Like if I see a 6 out of 10 guy, I see him getting way more success from maximizing the other approaching methods such as warm approach or cold approach than he would ever get in online dating. That's my main reason for that. It's the opportunity cost.
Yeah, sure, but you also have things coming in like social anxiety and it's very difficult. And you also mentioned poisoning the well sort of situations.
Can I ask one thing? So if an average guy has social anxiety, how is he ever going to be able to improve that unless if he's perpetually on online dating apps?
Well, we're talking about guys who are maybe starting out, right? And this is sort of their first introduction to dating, correct?
Yeah, then I think online dating would be the worst introduction for dating. That's going to, cripple his self-esteem.
Well, your main contention in your videos is because this will reinforce a false belief in them that they're unwanted. That's what you That's a quote from your video.
Do you think that
it's not necessarily the case?
Do you think the average person's social skills have gotten worse over the course of the last 20 years?
But if it's a false belief, then they don't have to believe it.
Sorry, can you just answer my question, the one that I asked? So do you think social skills are getting worse, or do you think they're getting better?
I think it's getting worse.
Yeah, and why is that? What do you think the reason for social skills getting worse?
Because more and more of our interactions have shifted to online.
Yeah, exactly. So if you gave the example of a man who has social anxiety, the ways that he will be able to develop those skills and overcome that is by interacting with more people in real life. Like the thing that's going to reinforce his problems even further is by going on online dating apps. And yeah, even if he's an attractive guy and is able to get matches and eventual dates, because he's able to hide in his shell for the time being, like it'd be my bet as soon as he turns up to these dates, because he's not actually worked out his like social problems, that he can't communicate with people very well, like the date is going to be a lost cause. Like he might be able to turn up to it and have the woman show up too, But, you know, as soon as the woman sees that his appearance isn't congruent with his social skills, she's not going to be very interested. Hello?
Yeah, I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure we were sticking at one point at a time. What was the next thing that you said about?
Well, the guy has to work on himself through coaching, reading, doing things that makes him and others around him happy, elevating his social life, creating meaningful relationships in his social environment. And I mean meaningful, not transactional. I think you can find a relationship without being in the top percentile of wealth, looks, and status if you have these meaningful relationships who are supporting you, even when you're on dating apps and it's treating you badly and you're not getting a lot of matches, but you have strong connections who are, supporting you and cheering you on to keep going, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because your main point is saying, I need to stay off the dating apps because it's going to make me depressed. But
I think it would. I think it does have a big negative self-esteem boost for most average guys who go on online dating apps, because if you're an average guy and you don't know how rigged the game is for online dating, you're going to go on with optimism. You're going to think, oh, will actually be decent. I might actually be able to find a relationship. And especially when you look at the way that these apps are marketed, they're basically selling hope. If you look at the advertising strategies that these dating apps employ, they make you want to believe, if you've never experienced them before, that you're going to be able to be dating lots of attractive women that you've always wanted to date. But that couldn't be further from the truth. And I think they're actually exploiting guys. They're exploiting guys' desperation. These dating apps. That's what they're designed to do. Like, I don't know the exact figures, but it'd be my guess that if they was breaking down how much revenue was generated by gender on these dating apps, it'd be my guess that 90% would be generated by the men, not the women.
That's fine, and that's fine. But your second caller was a graduate student who was studying dating, right? And he came up with some figures that showed that almost half of the men dating were able to find a date or a relationship from it. So that again disproves your point, right?
There was some question marks, over the legitimacy of this study, and the man that came on actually admitted that himself. Like, the sample size was incredibly small. It didn't take into account like the ages of the guys or how long they've been on the apps for. Like, there was several things that we kind of needed to be unraveled in order to draw actual conclusions from the study that he provided. But we've already talked about that. But I want to get back to the original point. So I want you to answer this question: why should an average man, still choose to go on online dating apps when there are better alternatives such as warm approach and cold approach?
Because he should still maximize his time. So, yeah, he should go and talk to people in person and in every social event. And when he's not available in a social event, he should just use dating apps. Because if he wants to maximize his time, if you were to structure your day in terms of max productivity, then you would do everything. You would put in the maximum amount of effort that you were able to in order to get the best result.
Yeah, I did allude to this point earlier in the debate that, fair enough, if you're going to use dating apps, at least do it when you're not going to be doing anything else with your time, whether that be waiting for the bus or, sitting on the toilet. Like, that could be argued as a efficient use of time because you're going to have to do nothing at that moment anyway. However, I could also argue that what if there's more productive things that you could be doing during that time when you're not doing anything else? Like, who's to say that you could be reading a book while you're waiting for the bus or journaling? Like, there's other things that I believe would be more productive than swiping on dating apps. Like, if I was to rank the 100 different things that you could do while waiting for the bus, swiping on dating apps would probably be in the bottom 5. I think that it's an incredibly inefficient use of time. Like, it's marginally better than doing absolutely nothing. Like, I'd rather, meditate or, as I say, read a book, or just talk to the person next to me on the bus than be swiping on dating apps there. Like, I think, even though you might say that, like, it has some potential reward, the potential reward is extremely low.
You're saying extremely low, but the guy that you had a video about had a 3.7% match rate, and you say, okay, like, he's better than average. Okay, fine. So even if you have like a 1% chance, that's not extremely low. A 1% chance, okay, you swipe for a little bit, but I mean, you could get, because for you, like, one match a day is too low. I mean, I think it's feasible to get matches a week.
Man,
I mean,
the experiment lasted 4 months. He swiped 16,000 times, and he messaged over 100 women. If you add up all of those things, you can. It doesn't take a mathematician to work out. He spent an extremely large amount of time, trying to get dates from these dating apps, and at the end of it all, he only got 3 dates. Which is okay. It's nothing terrible, but if I had the same amount of time the 4 months that he had to try to get more dates, I think that I could do a lot better if I was doing warm approach or cold approach.
Well, we don't know anything about his communication style, because it's one skill set to talk over an app and over text, and it's another skill set to talk in person, and you have to be good at both in today's marketplace, right? You have to be good at a lot of things. You can't just like specialize in one thing. You just have to be good at a ton of things.
Yeah, of course. The skill set has diversified. Like 20 years ago, there was no such thing as text game. And, maybe that is a skill that you need to practice in today's dating market in order to, make your system more efficient. And you'll also need social skills as well. Like, that's something that everybody needs. So, like, the skill set has diversified, and you should be improving these things. But if I had a choice of relying on one, I'd prefer the real life thing, where I don't, I can rely on texting as a minimal, and I'm mainly interacting with women in real life, which puts my stronger skills at the forefront, because when you look at the different approaching methods and you break down how important different factors are, I believe my skill set lends itself very well to warm approach and cold approach, because I think my social skills are better than most other people's. But when you look at online dating apps, 90% of it at least is just your looks. So it's going to be very difficult for me to like get an edge over other people, because they might naturally have a better advantage than me. They might be taller than me. They might be better looking in the face than me. But if I'm in a warm or cold environment, I can put my strongest skills at the forefront. Do you see what I'm saying there?
Waffles.
Sorry?
The percentage of guys that are willing to walk up to a stranger, start a conversation, get her number, flirt with her, is about 1% as well.
I doubt it's that low.
Actually lower.
I doubt it's that low, but surely, if anything, that's a good thing. I would love it to be 1%. Like, I'd probably say it's closer to about 25% have the guts to approach a woman, but on the street that he doesn't know. But I would prefer it to be lower.
You mean do it once, or to do it repeatedly?
Sorry? Oh, to do it repeatedly. To go through... Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's a different question.
To do hundreds of them.
Yeah, but even then, like, I'd want that pool to be small. Like, there's I've been speaking to a couple guys in the day game community. James Tusk was telling me all about it last time I had a stream with him. Like, he said that the game for him has changed dramatically in the last 10 years. That 10 years ago, no one was really doing it, but now every time he goes out to a big city, he can see at least 2 or 3 other guys doing the exact same approaches as him, and that makes the competition harder, because if a woman, if she's fairly attractive, is just going on a everyday commute, there's a strong chance that she gets approached by someone on a day-to-day basis, and that's going to make it more difficult for the other guys, because she's going to get fed up and thinking like, oh, another one of these people. And it's the same issue that you have with online dating, that the reason why most women reject the majority of guys they see on online dating apps, even if some of those might be more attractive than her, is just because she's being overwhelmed with options. Hello?
Yeah, that's fine. But again, there's maybe a handful of guys doing this in a small city and more doing in a big city. But the majority of your audience is not going... It's too inconvenient for them to just go out every week and try to meet people in person at parties and at clubs and bars and stuff, or on the street, or on their commute. It's just
I think people,
very inconvenient.
Underestimate just how much time they have. And the person that actually made me aware of this was this other YouTuber called Alex PWF. Like, if you're really efficient with your time, you should be able to at least get a couple dozen cold approaches in per week if you are focused on like really going hard on that methodology. Like, because most people have a 9-to-5 job. Let's say that including commuting times, that takes up all your time 5 days a week, from the hours of 7:30 in the morning to 6:30 at night. That means that you've got all of the evenings on those nights to be doing other productive things, like going to the gym, working on a side hustle, or journaling, reading, things like that. And then on the weekends, when you've got nothing to do, that's when you can really go hard on cold approaching. The reason why, I think a big part of the reason why people think that they haven't got much time nowadays is because they spend a lot of time watching Netflix, watching YouTube videos all day, playing video games. These are very time-consuming tasks, and people might not realize it, but that, it goes back to the idea that I was talking about opportunity costs. This could be detracting your potential in improvement and approaching, which is, will be the tools that you use to optimize your dating life.
Okay, well, I look forward to more content about this on your channel, because you seem to be surprised that people were looking at your channel as I think some guy said, like, more depressive, or like don't date at all type of channel, because
it's easy to assume
some of your messaging,
like when
your old videos is a little bit negative.
Yeah, when the branding of your channel is called Black Pill. Sorry. And there is a lot of negativity out there, and it is hard, and I'm not discounting that, and what's the alternative? You're going to spend your 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, if you live that far, that's 40 years with no meaningful relationships. You'll have dinner alone every night, get sick with no one to take care of you, die in a retirement home with no one to visit or call you, spend your birthdays and holidays alone for 40 years until you die. If that scares you, then you can make changes. And like you say, you can be part of the very small minority of guys who will walk up to a woman on the street, or at the bus stop, or at a coffee shop. But not a lot of guys are doing that. And I look forward to seeing more positive content coming from your channel to explain, with your flow charts and your structure. Sometimes it gets a bit cringe, but other times I think it's entertaining, and you have a very strategic way of thinking. So I commend you for some of your content. I don't agree with a lot of it, though. But thanks for having me on. Okay, no worries. Thank you for joining the stream. I'm going to ask one more person to get on. George, if you're watching, I'll give you permission to join the debate room, and this will be the last person of the day. Let me just give you permission. But your name is like a Russian one, isn't it? So I'm not sure if your name will actually... Oh wait, it's George Blackpill Memes. I think you changed it. George, if you're watching, join the debate room now. You'll be the last call of the day. And just while he's waiting to get sorted out, I just wanted to say one more response to the guy who just left off. That he was talking about how my content might seem depressing on the surface, and I was just going to respond to that and say it might seem that way on the surface. Like, I think when the branding of your channel is Black Pill, it's easy to think and say that, this is just about negativity. This is just about giving up hope. Oh, hello, welcome. I'll allow you to introduce yourself once I've just finished making this point. But this isn't necessarily what the channel is about. this is why I'm having this debate. It's giving other people giving other people an opportunity to say what they believe. And I think the end goal of my channel is to improve the dating lives of many people. And it's like I wouldn't say black pill equals negativity. I would say a closer definition would say black pill equals reality. And there's nothing inherently bad about learning this reality or acquiring knowledge about these subjects. Even though it might sound bleak, reality in a lot of respects can be tough to deal with. It's difficult to learn. Have you just disappeared? Oh, you're back on the stream now. And I think the point that I'm getting at is that there's nothing inherently bad with reality. There's nothing inherently bad with knowledge, but it's what you do with that knowledge in order to improve your own life and use that knowledge for the better. And whether that be improving your financial situation, your dating life, or whatever, it's how you use that knowledge in order to live your life for the better. And I think I expanded a little bit more on the thing that I just said about in my video, should you be black-pilled? And that was the conclusion that I drew from that. So if you want to give that a watch, I'd highly recommend looking at it after finishing this video. I released that video about a month ago. But anyway, I think I've been quite clear on that point. But now, without further ado, this is going to be the last debate of the night. I'm welcomed by George Blackpill Memes. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is George. Can you hear me well?
You're quiet. Talk again.
1, 2, 3.
Yep. Okay,
Can you hear me now?
Yep, you're on a good volume now. Okay, so anyway, tell us what your thoughts are. So what are your main points of contention with regard to my channel?
Well, first things first, I think that you have a great channel, and I think you did a great job explaining to people how black pill affect us all. And I'm at least 90% agree with your content, and I think your channel influenced me also a lot. But I have a few disagreements, and first disagreements is that your look rating is not quite correct. You see that men rate men differently than how women rate men. And maybe you saw this graph when when women made men average as 3 out of 10. And I can show you some graph if you want to. And if you can show my picture, I can do it by myself because I have opportunity to do it.
You can turn on your camera if you want. There should be a button at the bottom of the screen which says turn on camera. Yep.
Can you see me now?
Yeah. Everyone can see you. You're in front of a blue screen.
Okay, guys. So let me show you some stats and let me show you how this actually pictures look like. All right. So first of all, your look rating look like this, right?
Yep. That's just a thumbnail, but
no,
the exact
usually it's correct. Like it's symmetrical. That's the point. It's like you have an elite and you have outsiders, and most of them in the middle.
Yep.
So, but that's not how women rate men. You see, the women rate men absolutely differently. But these stats show us that only 2% of men are actually relatively attractive, and your graph should look more like this. So as you can see, your graph is too optimistic. Usually women rate men much lower than you are, and that's okay because we are straight men and we don't understand that female gaze. We don't understand how women see us. So yes, we all think that the ultimate super ultra masculine guy is like, this guy is like 10 out of 10, but usually attractive guy more look like this for women. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. With regard to the other study you showed, which showed most men being rated below average, that was from like an online dating app, I think.
Yes.
A potential reason for that discrepancy is, I raised this point earlier in the stream that when women become overwhelmed with options, it's a simple supply and demand situation that, their perceptions become removed from reality. So if they have hundreds of options available, they're going to filter out the guys who might even be on their level, and if they saw that person in real life, they might actually consider dating that person. But obviously in an online dating scenario, because of the number of options that they have, chances are they're going to chalk the majority of them down.
Yes, that's how it works. They have like all options in the world, and I also disagree that fact that I agree that with you that women are visually stimulated, but looks works. There's no question about it. Looks is the most important factor, and the three most important factors of looks is your height, your race, and your face, and your proportions of your face, and you almost nothing you can do with it. I mean, it's unchangeable factors.
I do want to give a little bit of respect to the other side. I do mostly agree with you. The factors that you stated are very much genetic, but there are minor things that you might be able to do to change the things that you stated. Apart from race, obviously, because that's the only thing that you absolutely cannot change unless you're Michael Jackson. But for height, obviously, there are soft looksmaxxing techniques such as height boosting shoes, which may be able to give you a couple of inches, and then there is some surgical procedures available as well. But 99.99% of guys wouldn't do that, and it's extremely expensive and extremely painful. So we can mainly leave that out of the question. And as for your face, there are certain things that you can do to improve the structure. Not the structure, but the appearance of your face. Like, your structure is fixed because you can't change your facial bones, but you absolutely can change your facial muscles if you train them. You can change your the shape of your beard. You can change the shape of your haircut in order to suit your skull shape, and you can lower your body fat percentage, which is probably the biggest thing in terms of increasing your facial attractiveness. But I'll let you carry on with your point. I do still agree that the vast majority of your face, race, and height is going to be determined by your genetics.
Right. But my point is that women are not only visually attracted. And let me explain. You see that this picture, we all know that money works, right? So money works, there's no question about it. And again, we see that hot women with the rich guy, with the ugly rich guy. But the reason why money works is that, simply put, money is a pleasure, right? It's a comfort, it's a pleasure. And why this works is because women not only think about their offspring, they want good genes for their offspring, there's no question about it. But they also very selfish, and they want good life for themselves, right? They want pleasure for themselves, and they sacrifice genes of their offspring for pleasure for themselves. That's what they do when they choose money over looks, right? But the good news is for normies and for sub-5s, and that's why I believe there's still some hope for normies and sub-5s, that money are not only a type of pleasure women like. We all know that women are also like attention and ego boost, especially women who've been traumatized in their teens or in their childhood. For example, she's been bullied in school, or she had an abusive stepfather or something like that. And what trauma does to you is trauma affect your self-respect, your self-esteem, your positive emotions, your attachment styles. And for that, women who've been traumatized, and that's a lot of them, for them, that's a pleasure of attention and self-esteem is unmatched. It feels so good for them. And if you can first find the girl, identify that she really has that neediness for that attention, for that ego boost, and then you can provide that pleasure of ego boost and of attention for that girl who really need it, and it feels so good. Can you imagine a girl who have a low self-esteem, who been bullied in school, but then puberty hits her hard, and now she's attractive, she's young, but that the trauma is still there. She's still not sure about her attractiveness, and that negative thoughts always there. And can you believe how she feels when she met a guy who think that she is the most amazing person in the world, and who can provide that emotion?
So can I just say one thing? Like, if this girl is, if you are saying that like a guy can approach this woman and say that she's the most attractive woman, won't that be most guys? Like, everyone knows, like, when women go onto Instagram or dating apps or TikTok or any platform, like any form of social media, as soon as they log on, they're going to be engulfed with abundance of attention. Like, there's no shortage in the world. Like, I forgot who said it. I think it was Alexander Grace. He said the world's most abundant resource is thirsty men. Like,
yes, absolutely.
So as soon as
100%.
Yeah, so as
100%.
soon as this woman who does have low self-esteem goes onto social media, like, her world's going to be flipped upside down. She's going to be inundated with more attention than she could ever imagine.
Yes, absolutely. But the question is, can you make your attention and your ego boost pleasure unique, or it's impossible, you think? So you can't make your attention unique. It's not possible. So you become unreplaceable. For example, the other guy is just telling her how amazing she is. They make like her, comment her, simping for her, like dozens of them, hundreds of them, and they are all replaceable. But can you IQ max, and can you make your attention and your pleasure of ego boost first intense, second unreplaceable and unique, and third you have to make it rare and valuable? Can you do that, or it's impossible? What do you think about it?
Honestly, I've got no idea, but I'm interested to hear what you have to say. Like, what can a guy do to tick all those three boxes?
Okay, let me explain. So, if you can make your attention or pleasure of ego boost, I think it's more like pleasure of ego boost. If you can make it unique, if you can provide some sort of attention and unique sort of attention, and while other guys scared of her and only make small moves and only like her and she rejects them and they don't know what to do, you can, if you know what to do, you can make your attention unique. You can provide more of a pleasure, and secondly, you can make your attention
what can you actually do? Like, I think you're being a bit vague at the moment. Like, what is something that a guy can actually do? Like, what is an example of the thing that you're describing?
Well, example is, first of all, you have to understand how addiction works. Well, addiction works, it's hard to explain in like 2 minutes, but simply put, addiction, it's a repetition of some process, right? If you just took, like, why is social media for girls are so addictive? Because it's repetition of some process. She posts some photo of her butt, she receives attention, likes, comments, and stuff like that. And at the first time, well, I guarantee her first photo on social media will be like naive, like most naive photo at all. No butt, no open skin, nothing. But same girl after 2 years on social media will show everything because she wants that attention now. Now she's dependent on that attention. And same goes to your attention and that pleasure. If you just comment her once and like her once, it's nothing to do with it. But if you understand how the addiction process works, why it's happening and how it's happening, you can make your, especially if you can identify a girl who have that need for special attention. Because guys, they are terrified of rejection. You agree with that?
I would say women are a lot more terrified of rejection than men, but
oh, they're absolutely terrified of rejection.
Yeah,
but
go
men
ahead.
also.
I think with enough, I I think for men, like the first few times they get rejected, it's really bad, and they do think it's the end of the world. But like, I think guys quickly develop a shield against it, and they realize, hold on a second, you know, the dating game is a bit rigged. You know, like rejection is the norm, not the exception. And like guys usually toughen up once they've been through rejection enough times.
Right. So if you can identify what type of attention you need, for example, you can see it's two lesbians on this photo, and one of them are feminine and other of them are masculine, right? So why is this happening? Why two women who are both physically similar have to play different roles in relationship? Well, the reason why this happens is because women are not only visually stimulated but also emotionally stimulated, and we all understand that looks work, but looks like we don't know how exactly it works because we don't understand female gaze. I think the looks works because in social media your look is your personality, and the reason why this guy is attractive for women more than this hyper masculine alpha chad, giga chad, or whatever, is because this guy maintained two controversial physical traits. For example, he's still masculine enough. He has straight eyebrows, hunter eyes, jawline, whatever. But at the same time, he's feminine enough. So he looked like a caregiver, like he's romantic enough, and she's sensitive enough to provide that emotional support, right?
I think I've seen a study which kind of showed two different things going on. You are right in saying that this guy, women will find him more attractive in a relationship sense. But if you go back to the other guy, if you go back to the Giga Chad person, just bring it up on the screen.
Yes, and for example, if you met some young cute girl, but she behaved like she's your grandma, right? She's you're hungry, you're thirsty, do your code, and she's behaved like she's your mother. And even if you're a young guy and your libido is through the roof, it still affect you a little bit. It's still like your sexual desire to her like a little bit fade, like a little bit you want her a little bit less. But for women, it works much more in terms of emotional state, because you see this stats show that women watch adult content, let's say, much less than men. Only average 24% women only watch some type of content. And even they do watch it, the most popular category is lesbian category, whereas no men at all. Can you imagine a guy's watching the type of content 3 times less than women, and the most popular category is the gay category? It's simply never ever happen. So women, as you can see, are much more emotional, and we all know that film 50 Shades of Grey, right? But we don't understand that it's not. The first was a book. The book would become viral, 50 Shades of Grey, and then they shoot that movie because the book became viral. But in that book, there's no pictures in that book. But at the same time, this book is insanely sexually intense for women. With one picture, there's no pictures in that book. But at the same time, do women intense, sexually attracted like crazy to that book? And
can I just pause there, because it seems like you are about to just bounce to another thing. I appreciate you coming on and presenting unique perspectives. You just disappeared. Are you still on? I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, I appreciate you coming on, and giving different perspectives that people might not have heard before. But I think this is going a tiny bit off the rails. You've bounced back from several different points.
Okay.
And you was about to go to another one, and somebody did just put in the live chat. I've just had a check on my phone that you might not necessarily be a hater, and you're just saying opinions that you believe to be true. And the purpose of this debate, of course, is inviting people on in order to hear opinions that are different to the things that I've stated on my channel. So I am gonna attempt to bring us slightly back on track to the original purpose of the debate. So I remember in the screening call earlier, you did say some things that you disagree with me with regard to age, men getting older. So obviously, for anyone who doesn't know, like, I believe on my channel, the opinion that I've stated is that men should like do their best to get a relationship earlier in their life, because that is when they are going to be the most attractive. Like, most men look better at 25 than they do at 35. You know, which might not be the case for everyone. Like, if you look after yourself, it is possible that you can you can slow down the aging process significantly, and you may maintain your looks, but for the majority of people, they will look better at 25 than 35. But anyway, getting back to the point, I want to hear what your disagreement is with me with regard to age, and then once we've finished this discussion, I'll wrap up the debate.
Well, if we see this graph, we will see that yes, women usually they prefer more older guys, and I agree that men don't peak with age. So I have no disagreements with that with you. My main disagreement is that there's still hope for sub-5s and normies, and on my channel I'm talking about those mentally unhealthy girls and how to identify them and how to provide them that pleasure of ego boost and self-esteem, because in the end of the day, why women choose money is because they want pleasure for themselves, and why women sometimes choose an attractive guy who can provide them that pleasure of self-esteem, that boost, that pleasure of ego boost is the same, is because of pleasure for themselves. And if you can find a girl who need that attention, who need that ego boost, and who need that pleasure, and you can provide it consistently and make her dependent on that, you become her personal like drug dealer, and because that's how addiction works. And the women who can resist like chocolate, who can resist ice cream, how can she resist that intense pleasure of ego boost? Because it feels, for those girls who traumatized, so good. It feels so fucking good. And if you know how to do it, if you IQ max, that's what I'm preaching on my channel. I'm talking about IQ maxing of that's my most that's why I disagree with you. That's still like hope for those guys who are smart enough to understand it.
Okay, I'm going to wrap up the debate here. Like, I appreciate you coming on, and you've presented like different perspectives, but like I did just try to bring it back to like the age like disagreements that we had earlier in the screening call, but it kind of seemed like you was fixated on explaining this woman who's not had the best of upbringings thing, which is fine. Like, I appreciate you coming on and explaining that your perspective on that topic, but like I don't think this is really going anywhere. I don't have I do appreciate what you've come on and said, but I don't have a strong opinion to respond to what you've had to say. But like as for now, like I'm just gonna leave the debate here as it is. Like, I'm very tired. Like, it's 10:30 here in the UK. And I've been up very early in the morning. So thank you for coming on. Do you have any closing words to say?
Yeah, I want to say that thanks for having me here, and I think you did a great job with your channel, and I hope you will continue to do that great job for those guys who don't understand that, yes, looks is important, and you can't just hope that it happen. For us guys, it's competition, and don't believe those who tell you that, or just be yourself. It's advice for women and chats. For us, the average guys, the dating is competition, and we have to do anything which gives us at least some advantage. So that's why I'm talking in my channel. That's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about IQ maxing, how to find those girls where your IQ, that you are smart, that have that impact on that girl. So yeah, I think you did a great job, and I'm like 100% supporter of your channel and a loyal subscriber.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, thank you for those closing thoughts. I'm just gonna remove you from the screen share now, and then I'll wrap up the stream. But thank you for coming on, and thanks for providing a different perspective. Well, that's the stream. I apologise to anyone who I promised that you would be able to get on, and I think there's roughly 5 people that should have been able to have their say, but due to like some of the people going like overrunning, then unfortunately you wasn't able to get your opportunity to talk. But I just want to check quickly. Like, I feel like this stream has gone very well. I really enjoyed this format. Just in the chat quickly, if you would like a second episode of this, it might not be for another month or so. But if you've enjoyed this stream, just put in the live chat now. Yes, I would like to see another one, or just put yes or a tick or great stream, anything like that, and then I'll be able to know if there should be a round 2 in the coming month or whatever. So it seems a lot of people enjoyed it, and I'm just looking at the retention graph. Like, this is a high amount of viewers. It's been over 1,000 for the majority of the stream, so clearly it's shown to be quite popular. I think my streams usually only get about 500 or 600 people, and there's a lot of people in the chat saying yes. And so the 5 guests that wasn't able to get on, in a month's time or so, I'll probably be doing this exact same format. And for anyone who's watched and wants to have their say, try to bring up different topics for the next one. I don't want to be reiterating the same things. Like, if you want to, if you've been watching my content for a while and disagree with certain points, feel free to join the stream. The way that it works is that you that the day before, I'll put out a Calendly where you can book a screening consultation with me, and then I'll check if you're appropriate for the stream, which is mainly to test if you're not a troll. And you actually have points of contention, because the purpose of this is to, as I said at the very beginning, to have ideas challenged. It's no good being like surrounded by people that just want to say the same things and repeat everything, and there's no point in watching a stream that is just going to be nothing but like everyone being in agreement. So I've really enjoyed this format today, but other than that, thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.